ever worked with is Mr. Visconti.
Yes, well, that's
Yes.
leading us to the question I was going to put.
And I've worked with some very good ones. John Huston is very, very good. I worked with Carol Reed. He's very, very fine. Carol Reed is more concerned with physical imagery. He's got a great sense of style. He's good with actors, but he doesn't spend a great deal of...
For more than half a century, Burt Lancaster was portrayed as the archetype of the Hollywood hero, strong, charismatic, and proud amid the golden age of American cinema. But behind the glamour and immortal roles lay a far more complex man, a Burt Lancaster full of contradictions, desires, and always torn between fame and his true self. Private photos and little-known behind-the-scenes stories now reveal a vastly different portrait. Not just the imposing action star, but a man living in the shadows of power and isolation. From mysterious parties that shook Hollywood, a team of female assistants always surrounding him on every trip, to political statements that put him under FBI surveillance. He even once saved a female star only to be mercilessly abandoned by her. What lies behind these unpublished photos? A smile or a confession about a life split between glamour and truth? And why, among hundreds of classic Hollywood stars, does Burt Lancaster alone inspire both admiration and fear? 1. Image of the gay party with over 250 people alongside Rock Hudson. In 1960, while Hollywood was still rigidly cloaked in conservatism, a shocking incident rocked the film world, a raid on a luxurious villa atop the Los Angeles hills. This location was reportedly the site of a large-scale private gay party with over 250 guests. Archived sources and industry rumors revealed a staggering guest list, from actors and directors to influential military figures. What stunned the public were two names on that list: Burt Lancaster and Rock Hudson. The villa, rumored to belong to a reclusive producer, regularly hosted exclusive soirees for Hollywood's elite. Witnesses recounted that night as endless music and alcohol from dusk till dawn. Though guests surrendered phones to security, tabloid reporters secretly snapped photos with sensational headlines. A swimming pool full of major stars. No direct evidence shows Lancaster or Hudson were questioned, but the event caught J. Edgar Hoover's eye. Under his orders, the FBI opened surveillance files. Internal documents listed both actors under moral influence. The incident was never officially acknowledged. Studios spent tens of thousands to bury the story, ensuring no photos were published. But in the industry, the rumor lived on. The 250-person party, the most outrageously scaled event ever. Rock Hudson kept his private life secret until his death from AIDS in 1985, while Burt Lancaster, the dream of millions of girls, carried that secret to his grave. If the 250-person party shook Hollywood, the next photo escalates the suspicion to a new level. 2. Censored scene in From Here to Eternity. The passionate kiss between Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr amid crashing waves in the classic From Here to Eternity, 1953, is one of cinema's most celebrated images, an eternal symbol of heterosexual romance. Yet the public never knew. The film concealed a massive secret about censorship and Lancaster's own identity. Adapted from James Jones's novel, the original book contained bold elements, including a male homosexual subplot among soldiers. When Hollywood filmed it, all such elements were entirely removed under strict censorship pressures. Few expected that the excised scene mirrored Lancaster's personal contradictions and secrets. According to documents later revealed by Vanity Fair and FBI archives, Lancaster was monitored for unusual intimate behavior with men. Records show him frequenting discreet men's clubs in Los Angeles and Rome. A recent viral social media post even described Lancaster as more inclined toward men, based on close friends' accounts. Later, his daughter revealed he endured mental strain from hiding himself too long. In 1950s Hollywood, a sexuality rumor could destroy a career. Lancaster knew this and chose silence. Thus, his kiss with Deborah Kerr wasn't just a classic romantic moment. It was a peak performance by a man desperately proving to the world he was normal. 3. Burt Lancaster and his FBI connection. After the Crimson Pirate. In 1952, Hollywood was gripped by political tension and strict censorship. Amid this, Burt Lancaster, the famed action star, symbol of American strength, suddenly fell under special federal attention. The cause wasn't law-breaking, but a line of dialogue. In The Crimson Pirate, an adventure film Lancaster produced and starred in, a seemingly harmless scene had his character praising working people, declaring them the true soul of the world. The line spread through press and reached J. Edgar Hoover, the infamous FBI director then waging an ideological crackdown on artists. Behind-the-scenes sources say Hoover disliked the film's message and ordered long-term surveillance on Lancaster. Though no evidence shows direct questioning, many in the industry believe his phone and mail were monitored and his film projects heavily scrutinized. Years later, recalling that era, Lancaster said briefly, "I just believe everyone deserves respect. If that makes me misunderstood, maybe America should look at itself." That moment marked a turning point. From action star to an artist with convictions, daring to defend his beliefs in an era when free speech was a luxury. And perhaps, amid the crashing waves, Burt Lancaster wasn't just kissing Deborah Kerr, he was kissing goodbye the true self he was forced to bury. If the "from here to eternity" kiss hid his real self, the next photo exposes what Hollywood couldn't control: the mysterious women orbiting him. 4. Image of the mysterious female assistant team and romantic rumors. Burt Lancaster's private life was rife with rumors, especially about his female assistant team throughout the 1950s. At the time, Lancaster was married to Norma Anderson and had founded his own production company. Yet tabloids buzzed about his special assistants, makeup artists, costume designers, producers, and personal secretaries, all young, stunningly attractive women who accompanied him on every trip. Contemporary tabloids called them the mysterious girls always by Burt's side. Sources from The Crimson Pirate and Trapeze sets revealed his habit of dining or traveling with multiple female assistants, unusual for stars of the era. Romantic rumors exploded when a European reporter claimed Lancaster had an intimate relationship with legend Marlene Dietrich. Though unproven, behind-the-scenes photos of their closeness at film parties in Rome and Paris fueled suspicion. In 1950s Hollywood, where the perfect star image guaranteed box office, a top actor entangled with dozens of women was taboo. To protect his image, studios discreetly rotated or removed these assistants from sets. Yet the rumors about the alluring assistant team were just the tip of the iceberg. The next photo isn't about parties or sets. It's evidence of a completely darker side in Burt Lancaster's life. 5. The darkness behind fame. When Burt Lancaster lost it with women while drunk. Some sources claim Burt Lancaster once behaved inappropriately with a woman after she refused to sleep with him. A former 1950s crew member described him as having an explosive temper and being quick to anger when drunk. Serious on set, his private life was different, extremely demanding, harsh with women, preferring those who were obedient and compliant. Rumors point to an incident at a New York hotel in the late 1940s. The studio allegedly hushed it up to protect his image, especially before The Crimson Pirate's release. Notably, Lancaster never publicly refuted or explained the allegation in his remaining years. He avoided personal topics in interviews, focusing on work, social projects, and politics. In old Hollywood circles, the rumor persisted as a secret, seen as proof of the era's dark side where male power dominated backstage, and women had to stay silent to protect careers. If those allegations reveal Lancaster's dark power, the next photo unveils a different story. A secret with a female star he called something I never want to mention again. 6. The secret affair between Burt Lancaster and Shelley Winters. From savior to the abandoned. In the 1950s, Hollywood buzzed with rumors of a dramatic, tragic romance between Burt Lancaster and actress Shelley Winters. According to Winters, they met while Lancaster was married to Norma Anderson. The affair sparked from bedroom passion, a strong, decisive Lancaster drawn to a vibrant, spirited Winters. But it quickly became an emotional storm as both faced ongoing conflict over his marriage. One night, Winters overdosed on pills and collapsed. When word reached Lancaster, he and actor Farley Granger, who also had a relationship with Winters, rushed to her home. They broke in and got her to the hospital in time. Insiders say Lancaster held her tightly the whole way, sobbing as doctors fought to save her. Afterward, Winters always said she owed Burt Lancaster her life. Ironically, soon after, she ended the turbulent relationship. The reason? News that Norma Anderson was pregnant. For Winters, it wasn't just a twist, but a moment she realized she had to leave. The story ended in regret. Lancaster lost a woman who loved him sincerely, while Winters survived, but carried the emotional scar of a relationship she called both saving and changing me forever. The next photo reveals a completely different moment, where Lancaster reacted explosively to his closest colleague. 7. The moment Burt Lancaster made Kirk Douglas cry.
Well, who else? Well, that's it.
To the public, Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas were an unbeatable golden duo, starring in hits like Gunfight at the OK Corral, 1957, and The Devil's Disciple, 1959. But off-camera, their legendary friendship was a long chain of fierce rivalry and hidden resentment. The peak came one afternoon in 1957 when Lancaster, accidentally or intentionally, made Douglas cry in front of fans. Records show the fateful encounter was at a film promotion. Douglas, nearly 10 centimeters shorter, secretly wore lifts to maintain power balance on stage. Lancaster, blunt, somewhat arrogant, and controlling, discovered the secret, and instead of staying quiet, turned it into a public joke before the crowd. As they greeted the audience, Lancaster bent down, patted Douglas's shoulder, and said loudly in mock humor, "If Kirk took off those shoes, I'd have to bow low just to see him." The room erupted in laughter. Only Kirk Douglas didn't. He forced a smile, but his face went pale. A mutual friend recalled, "Backstage, Kirk stood frozen. Then he broke down sobbing, not from embarrassment, but from being exposed and mocked by his closest friend." The incident created a deep rift lasting years. On the gunfight at the OK Corral set afterward, they constantly argued over scripts and roles, even refusing to lunch together. Douglas later admitted he never forgot that afternoon, while Lancaster carried regret. "I meant to tease, not hit his insecurity." From that moment, the public saw a Burt Lancaster not just as a screen hero, but as someone who mocked others' flaws. And perhaps among hundreds of iconic roles, Kirk Douglas's tears best reflected Lancaster's true self. But the story doesn't end there. The next moment reveals an even bigger confrontation, not with a co-star, but with a giant corporation. 8. Behind the film airport, Lancaster's troubled relationship with Boeing. In 1970, Airport, the film launching Hollywood's aviation disaster genre, premiered and became a global box office sensation, grossing over $100 million. On the poster, Burt Lancaster headlined alongside Dean Martin, Gene Seberg, and Jacqueline Bisset. The film's success not only brought massive financial gains, but ushered in the 1970s disaster movie era. Yet few know that behind the red carpet glow, Lancaster despised the film that delivered his biggest commercial hit. According to archives and interviews, Airport was made in close collaboration with Boeing. The goal was to promote the 707 jet, a symbol of American civil aviation. Boeing provided full support, real planes, technical aid, and even funding to ensure their brand shone positively. As producer, Lancaster earned 10% of Boeing-related profits, millions in today's terms. But instead of pride, he felt exploited. In an interview, he bluntly expressed frustration. "I didn't know if I was acting or advertising for Boeing." Crew sources say Lancaster was furious as every scene was controlled by Boeing, from angles to dialogue, to protect their image. He criticized the film for becoming a giant ad for American tech instead of focusing on story. Years later, asked about Airport, Lancaster sneered, "The worst piece of trash, but the trash that made the most money I ever touched." Airport turned Burt Lancaster into Hollywood's reluctant commercial icon, but the next photo will shock you. It shows a completely different Lancaster. No lights, no fame, no money. 9. Image of him returning to the circus for 4 weeks at $3 a day. In the early 1950s, at the height of fame, a leaked image of Burt Lancaster stunned Hollywood. He was working at a circus. Many thought it was PR, but Lancaster did it for real. In his unknown days, he was a professional acrobat, performing in traveling circuses, sleeping in trucks, eating cold sandwiches, training under torn tents. According to Factinate, in 1950, amid relentless filming and studio pressure, Lancaster announced he'd pause acting to relive freedom. He joined a small Midwest circus for 4 weeks, doing flips, rope work, and balancing acts. Most unbelievably, he took his old pre-fame wage, $3 a day, plus 1 free meal. No luxury cars, no managers, no flashes, just Lancaster, ropes, and applause from a few dozen locals. A friend recalled, "Burt said at the circus, 'No one cares if you're a star. You just have to balance well or fall.' That made him feel most alive." After 4 weeks, he returned to Hollywood, tanned, thinner, but with brighter, more energetic eyes than ever. He soon signed major deals, including the classic Trapeze, 1956, a film recreating the circus world he cherished. Years later, Lancaster was no longer the humble tent performer, but a king of power on sets, a true nightmare for directors, producers, and co-stars. When Burt Lancaster became a nightmare on set on screen, The Crimson Pirate was a colorful adventure. Burt Lancaster swinging on ropes, fighting romantically on deck, smiling brightly amid blue seas. But behind the lens, the set atmosphere was the opposite of that cheer. Multiple sources, including Factinate, describe Lancaster, star and producer, as energetic to the point of unbearable. Technicians recall constant interference. He adjusted angles, changed dialogue, demanded entire sequences reshot despite director Robert Siodmak's approval. Some days he made the crew redo takes because the light wasn't fiery enough, or he wanted a different jump on the mast. He was so enthusiastic it gave headaches, a crew member remembered. Like Burt wanted to control everything, from cameras to everyone's emotions. But with Lancaster holding financial power, no one dared object. Director Siodmak complained, "Working with Burt was like sailing in a storm. Terrifying." Though The Crimson Pirate succeeded brilliantly, its backstage created rifts with collaborators. Those who worked with him agreed, Burt Lancaster was a genius, but you wouldn't want to work with him. If Burt Lancaster was a whirlwind exhausting everyone, the next photo reveals an even fiercer story. It's the period when glamour, fame, and fear of losing it all led him to the cruelest decision of his life. 11. Burt Lancaster begging his girlfriend to save his career. In 1946, while filming The Killers, his debut that rocketed him from unknown to A-list star, a personal crisis hit. His girlfriend, Norma Anderson, was pregnant. At the time, studios were noticing Lancaster. He knew clearly any rumor of an illegitimate child could collapse his career. Hollywood's system, run by moguls, tightly controlled star images. Any controversy could blacklist an actor. According to memoirs and close accounts, Lancaster desperately urged Norma to make a difficult choice, arguing it's the only way to protect both our futures. He even planned to save his fees for financial support during that period. But he misjudged her. Norma Anderson, from a Catholic family, firmly refused. She said her faith wouldn't allow something against her conscience. She loved Lancaster but couldn't betray her beliefs. Their argument dragged on for days, friends say, leaving Lancaster distraught and walking off set. Ultimately, Norma kept the child. Ironically, that baby forced Lancaster to take responsibility, marry her, and build the image of an exemplary family man. Behind his confident smile and polished demeanor on camera was a meticulously orchestrated PR campaign to protect his image. Years later, when backstage documents leaked, people realized the Burt Lancaster legend might be the longest role he ever played. 12. The legendary image of Lancaster, result of sophisticated media control. Behind the charming looks, radiant smile, and confident demeanor, Burt Lancaster nearly erased all traces of his private life from public records. According to INSP, Lancaster never allowed an official biography. He rejected deep-dive interviews, strictly avoided personal questions, and used humor or politeness to end conversations. In a rare instance, when a reporter asked about family, Lancaster smiled and said, "The public buys tickets to my films, not to know who I breakfast with." That silence made the press more curious than ever. Tabloids, hungry for backstage scoops, published speculation about his private life. Mysterious relationships, unpredictable personality, secretive habits. Lancaster never confirmed or denied, and thus his image grew mythical. The quieter a star, the more the public obsessed. Later, film scholars argue Lancaster deliberately used silence as a unique PR strategy. In an industry exploiting every story, he knew secrecy was the strongest allure. No one knew who he really was, who he loved, or what he feared, and that made him a timeless icon of mystery and magnetism. When Lancaster died in 1994, reporters, co-stars, and family agreed on one thing: no one truly understood him. Even those living beside him for decades admitted Burt always kept a part of himself no one could touch. Hollywood was never a paradise for dreams. It's an assembly line of illusions lubricated by fame, money, and loneliness. There, every tear has a director, every smile is perfectly lit, and every emotion follows a shooting schedule. The dazzling lights don't illuminate people. They conceal the dark corners they dare not face. Contracts signed in fear, lies glittering like gold, and souls gradually worn down under camera flashes. In that world, people don't live. They're edited. Studios turn humans into products, tweaking walks, voices, even who they're allowed to love. Every romance is a press release, every divorce a marketing campaign. There, tears falling on cue become cinematic moments, while real emotions, if uncommercial, are cut from the script. Behind the velvet curtain of lavish premieres are souls burned out by the very spotlight they chased. Hollywood doesn't need guns to kill. It only needs praise, applause, and a ticket to fame. making people willingly trade themselves piece by piece. The weak collapse in silence. The strong learn to smile amid isolation. They step on stage sparkling and perfect, while inside only emptiness remains. The world calls it the American dream. But listen closely, and you'll hear beneath the cheers the weary sighs. Beneath the lights, the hollow eyes of people who forgot what they once dreamed of and how much they traded to stand there under a light everyone thinks is paradise.